My name's Brandon Lawless, and I'm going to be giving you info on the killing of Jamar Clark. On November 15th, 2015, Jamar Clark, a 24-year-old African-American man, was fatally shot by police officers in Minneapolis. Two officers with the Minneapolis Police Department, Mark Ringenberg and Dustin Schwartz, were involved in the shooting and were placed on paid administrative leave. Police said they responded shortly after midnight to a reported domestic assault and interference with medical personnel. Those were the crimes that Jamar Clark was accused with.
Criminal federal civil rights charges against the two officers involved in Jamar Clark's shooting death. He says investigators watched surveillance video, listened to 911 tapes, and also spoke with witnesses to make their decision. Now, this case dates back to November 15th, 2015, on the city's north side. The Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension said 24-year-old Jamar Clark refused orders from police to take his hands out of his pockets. The BCA said officers tried to put him in handcuffs, but he resisted. Now, they say Officer Ringenberg got Clark to the ground, but Ringenberg ended up on his back on top of Clark, and there was a struggle. Ringenberg said he felt Clark's hand on his police gun, and that's when Officer Schwartzy shot Clark. In March, you may remember Hennepin County Attorney Mike Freeman announced the officers would not face criminal charges in Clark's death, but the FBI and U.S. Attorney's Office conducted.
As you can see in the footage from the camera, Jamar Clark's civil rights was violated. To me, I think it was just more it was kind of based off his skin color, that he was an African American male. Jamar Clark was being arrested, but then it turned into a scuffle when the officer pinned him on the ground, which later turned into something deadly, as when the officer felt that Jamar Clark was reaching for his gun, and that's when he was later fatally killed.
Within arm's length, he says he reached for Clark.
Simultaneously, I grabbed his left arm. My partner holstered his gun and grabbed the male's right arm. I had to physically pull his hand out of his pocket.
Schwartzy says there was a struggle to get Clark's arms behind his back so they could handcuff him. He says Ringenberg used the maneuver to take him down. Schwartzy says he watched as his partner struggled with Clark and then yelled, "He has my gun."
And I put my gun on the side of his head. It was the left side of his head. And I was so scared and just, I thought he had the gun. I thought the shots were gonna ring out. The only thing I could think of to do was to save our lives and anybody else that was in that immediate area of any danger. So I pulled the trigger.
Now, Schwartzy told investigators his gun did not go off the first time. He said it was the second shot that ended the struggle with Clark. Frank.
After Jamar Clark was fatally shot, it turned the whole black community, because that's when they felt like they needed to step in. It was protesters protesting for justice for Jamar Clark, #Justice for Jamar Clark, to get freedom and justice for the killing of Jamar Clark. Not only did Jamar Clark's family want justice, but the people also wanted justice too. They're protesting all around for Jamar Clark. After Jamar Clark's death, later on, 5 protesters were shot in the aftermath of Jamar Clark's death.
Tonight, police shot and killed him is telling her story in a WCCO exclusive.
She says the investigator's description of her role that evening is wrong. She was not dating Clark, and there was not a domestic dispute.
I didn't call him and say, come and shoot him, or none of that. They had no reason to come combative at all, because they didn't get a call like that, not from me. And that night,
Rayanne Hayes is worried for her safety, so she didn't want her face shown. She spoke today with WCCO's Reg Chapman.
Jamar Clark was present with his girlfriend, Rayanne Hayes.
Just because you're with somebody does not mean you're dating them.
From the very beginning of Mike Freeman's press conference, Rayanne Hayes disputes the narrative. She says she was never in danger from Jamar Clark, the man she calls a friend, not a boyfriend.
No dispute, no domestic, none of that.
Hayes says the night Clark was shot, they were at a party on Plymouth Avenue. She says she tried to get in the middle of an argument and got hurt in the process.
I twisted my ankle, I fell and hit the side of the door thing and busted my lip. That's all.
It's not an emergency. I can't walk. It was an altercation downstairs in the building, and I tried to break it up. and in the process of it, I think I got my legs sprung. I can't move.
In her 911 call early on November 15th, Hayes told the dispatcher she was hurt an hour and a half earlier. Hennepin County Attorney Mike Freeman says people at the scene, as well as EMTs, told investigators Hayes pointed out Jamar Clark as her boyfriend and the man who hurt her. She was questioned as she was put into the ambulance.
They gave me a shot of something for the pain, and I laid back. I remember Jamar coming up to the window. I remember that. And I remember ambulance guys saying, oh, he's trying to break it. I'm like, no, he's not. He's just trying to help me.
Hayes says the last thing she remembers is seeing Clark's face as the ambulance doors closed. She says she did not know Clark was shot and killed until 2 days later.
You're taking the focus off of you guys letting these officers go and trying to put it on me. If this would have never happened, this would have never happened. Bull crap.
Why now? Why come forward now?
Because I'm tired of the rumors.
She wants the community to know she too is grieving and had no idea a night of having a good time would turn to tragedy.
I can't heal because he's not healing. He's not in peace right now. You know, so how can I ever be in peace and he's not at peace?
Now, Hayes says she has a boyfriend and was dating him back in November when Clark was shot. She says Clark was just a friend she likes spending time with and says rumors of a relationship are just that, rumors. Hayes says she believes in her heart Clark should be here today. She says he did not deserve to die the way that he did.
The media that was being said about Jamar Clark was Jamar did not deserve to die that way. He did not deserve to die and be assaulted by the police that way and just be pinned down for something that he really didn't do. He didn't deserve it. The officers never went to prison or got locked up or anything. They never got prosecuted, which is why the people wanted justice for Jamar Clark. The officers went to court and everything, but never got prosecuted. To solve this problem, I feel like officers should have more hours of training and communicating and to talk to the person before they just are so quick to pull out a gun and shoot them. They need to go through more communicating and more talking and how to talk to the victim. Because studies show there is not enough hours being put into communicating and police officer training. I felt pretty good about doing this project because I got to learn something new and learn about someone I haven't heard of, and to see what happened and what happened with the law and how they interfered and did stuff to Jamar Clark. I was really interested in this.